Hey Heroes and welcome to this new world video. With the summer patch came a bunch of updates to the game. In today's video I want to take a look at the changes they made to the loot drop system. As of this patch, named enemies level 59 to 63 are now able to drop items at gear score 600. There's an extremely low chance for enemies level 59 to do this, and the chances get slightly higher the closer the level is to 63. In today's video I want to show you all the enemies and items that this affects in Mangled Heights. So to get to Mangled Heights, you'll first need to come to the Cleave Points outpost in Great Cleave. This is an elite area, so I suggest running this in the group. First enemy we're going to look for is the Unhallowed Soul of Murkguard. To find this, simply follow the cliffside until you reach the first bend in the road. The Unhallowed Soul of Murkguard is a deer that is off the track and towards the cliff edge. So let's take a look at the items you can get from the Unhallowed Soul of Murkguard. First up we have Soul of Murkguard. This is an amulet with Constitution and Intelligence. It has a Nature Ward gem built in for nature damage absorption. It's got Health, which increases your maximum health and is a best perk. Purify, when you are hit while below 50% health you lose all debuffs on a 90-second cooldown. This does not trigger off persistent damage, dot effects or blocked attacks. And then it's got Nature Protection on, you take 9.7% less nature damage. Overall this will be really good for any mages in a nature mutator. You've got the nature gem built in and the nature protection on it. And then you've got Health and Purify, which are both pretty brisk perks, so a nice option there for that. Next we have a Fallen Branch. This is Life Staff with Constitution and Focus. It has an Abyssal Gem in, which converts half its damage to Void. It's then got Mortal Siphoning. When you kill something, gain 10% mana on a 1-second cooldown. Enchanted, light and heavy attacks deal 9.6% more damage. And Keen Speed, on critical, gain 20% haste. Overall, it's probably not a great Life Staff because it's not got Blessed on. The Mortal Siphoning is okay to get the mana back, but then you've got the damage perk on there of Enchanted and Keen Speed, which give you haste, which may be helpful in PvP. But overall, it seems a bit all over the place for me, and I'm sure there's better life staffs out there. Then we've got Bloody First. This is a spear with Dexterity. It's got an empty gem socket. Mortal Lifesteal. When you kill something, gain 6.8% health on a 1-second cooldown. That was updated in the July patch. Vicious, 11% critical damage. And then Leeching Cyclone. Every hit of Cyclone heals you for 52% of the weapon damage. Overall, it's a pretty nice spear. Obviously, with the update to Mortal perks, that's a lot better now. And Vicious is nice, and with a lot of the quick stabs and stuff, that'll get some extra damage. And then Leeching Cyclone is a weapon perk. Overall, it's a pretty good spear for sustain. You've got the 2 healing perks there, and then some extra damage, which is always nice. And next up, we have 2 items that are shared between all the enemies in the old Murkguard Forest, with more likely to drop from this creature. So we've got Conqueror's Mercy. This is a life staff with focus and intelligence. You probably want to pair that up with a Void Gauntlet to make the most out of the stats. It's got a Gambit Gem in, so you do more damage while your stamina's not full. It's got Purity of Light. Allies with a debuff removed with Splash of Light are healed for 83% of your weapon damage. Refreshing Ward reduces active cooldowns by 1.9% after being hit 4 times. Does not trigger off persistent damage. Overall, it's an okay life staff. You've got the Purity of Light and Kind. I'd ignore the Refreshing Ward because I hate that perk. Purity of Light is making Splash of Light even better and doing that extra healing. And then with Kind, it makes it a safer life staff to use if you don't want to generate as much aggro. We should note that this is buying on equip, so if you do happen to find it, you can sell it. It says here on Barry it's about 1,000 coins. So. And then we have Blood Piercer. It's a bow with Constitution and Dexterity. It's got a Gambit Gem in again, so more damage while your stamina's not full. So keenly empowered on crit, you gain 15% in power for 5 seconds with a 10-second cooldown. Mortal Energy, when you kill something, you gain stamina on a 1-second cooldown. And then Beastbane, 14% extra damage to beasts. Overall, this will be a pretty nice bow for when you're doing your skinning, or maybe when the Turklon event comes out later in the year, you'll have a bow with some extra Beastbane damage on. The next enemy is Mosril the Herald. He can be found if you continue on to the second bend in the road, and he's the large brute next to the Orichalcum Vein. So let's take a look at the items you can get from Mosril the Herald. It is worth noting that he's got 2 items with the same name, but we'll take a look at them both and you can see which ones you like. So first up, we've got Herald's Finger Curse. It's got 25 strength and an arcane gem built in. It's got Keen Awareness, which is going to increase your critical chance, Siphoning, which is going to increase your mana on hit, and then Refreshing Evasion, reducing your cooldowns when you dodge. Overall, 2 of the 3 perks are okay, with the Keen Awareness increasing your crit and getting your cooldowns back quicker. Siphoning, unless they bring in a weapon that uses strength and uses mana, is going to be useless on this. Now with the second Herald's Finger Curse, this is a ring with Constitution this time. It's got an Arcane Ward gem in, but this one can be changed. It's got Enfeebling, weaken you apply, lasts 28% longer. Hearty, you have 9.6% more stamina, and slash damage. You gain 4.8% slash damage. This would be a really nice ring for a Great Axe user. because you've got the slash damage in there, Hearty to increase your stamina for dodging, and Enfeebling. If you pair that up with Enfeebling Maelstrom, which applies Weaken to all enemies hit by your Maelstrom, that'll last 28% longer, so that's a really nice piece for that. It's got the Constitution, which lines up really well for that as well. And then we've got the Herald Signal Fire. This is a bow with Dexterity and Intelligence, so you might want to pair that up with a Rapier or a Musket. It's got a Fire Gem in, which converts half the damage to fire. You'll be able to take that out and replace it for any non-elemental gem, but because of this Chain Fire perk, you won't be able to change it to any other element. Then we've got Chain Fire. Your basic attacks trigger a fire chain reaction, damaging nearby targets. Then you've got Vicious, which increases your critical damage, and Keenly Empowered on critical gain 15% in power for 5 seconds on a 10-second cooldown. Overall, it's not too bad. If you're doing PvP with this, you've got to be careful that your Chain Fire doesn't break people's stuns that they're trying to use. The following 5 items come from any enemies in the Bale Bane Maw. So we've got 1,000 Voices. This is a sword with strength. It's got an Empowered Gem in, which converts half its damage to Arcane. Got Corrupted Bane, which is 14% extra damage to Corrupted. Got Mortal Power. When you kill something, gain 15% in power for 20 seconds on a 1-second cooldown. That's nice after the update to the Mortal perks. And then Chain Arcane, causing that chain reaction of arcane damage upon hit. Overall, if you're looking to DPS with a sword in a corrupted setting, this was really good because you've got the Bane there. Chain Arcane does extra damage to corrupted enemies, and you've already got your Arcane Gem built in, and then you'll get the extra Empower when you kill enemies. It's worth noting this is bind on equip, and it says on Barry the price is about 2,500. Then you've got the Blood Bane Reaver. This is a Great Axe with strength. It's got a Fire Gem built in, converting half its damage to fire. Enchanted, which increases the light and heavy attack damage by 9.6%. Refreshing Evasion. When you dodge, you reduce your cooldowns. And Keenly Empowered, on crit, gain 15% in power for 5 seconds on the 10-second cooldown. Overall, it's pretty nice. You've got the 2 damage boosting perks there. You could change the gem out for something that's better for you. And then Refreshing Evasion, although not ideal on a weapon, it is still reducing your cooldown, so it's not a bad third perk. Again, this is bind on equip. It says on Barry it's about 50 coins. Next we have Avenging Slats, which looks like it's part of a set here. This is a heavy chest piece with 25 strength. It's got an empty gem slot for you to use. Refreshing, which is going to reduce your maximum cooldowns. Corrupted Ward, which is going to reduce how much damage you take from Corrupted. And then you've got Corruption Resistance, which increases your resistance to Corruption by 15, and also slows the Corruption damage. This is mainly used in things like portals or anywhere where there's Corruption around. Overall, it'd be a pretty nice piece to start your Corrupted Ward sets. You've got the Corruption Ward on there and the Refreshing, which is a nice combination. Although this third perk could be something else, it's not hurting you having that Corruption Resistance, especially if you're doing things like Merkguard or Tempest, where it's got the portals at the start. And we have the Highwayman's Duster. This is medium chest wear with Constitution and Dexterity. Got an empty gem slot. Refreshing, which is going to reduce your cooldowns. Ancient Ward, decreasing your damage against Ancients. And then Freedom, decreasing your slow, stuns, and roots. This would be a really nice piece if you're looking for some Ancient Ward gear for a max light loadout. You got the Refreshing for the cooldowns, the Ward for extra damage protection, and then Freedom, which is going to help in some mutators that maybe slow, stun, or root you. And finally, we've got the Shamanic Robes of the Archmage. This is light chest wear with focus and intelligence, so aim towards the Void Gauntlet. You've got an empty gem slot. You've got Refreshing, which is going to reduce your maximum cooldowns, which is nice. Corrupted Ward, which is going to increase your damage absorption against Corrupted. And then again, the 15 Corruption Resistance for areas like Tempest or Portals. This isn't really an item that I'd use because it is light chest wear, and if I'm going for a max light loadout, I'd want a medium chest piece. But if you're going to try and do some different combinations to try and get that weight, then this could work for you. The next enemy is the first of 2, Articulon the Unshackled. This can be found by breaking the Orichalcum Vein, and it's the large tendril that appears. So let's take a look at the items you can get from Articulon the Unshackled. First up we have Blood and Flesh. This is a hatchet with Constitution and Strength. It's got a diamond in, which increases your damage by 15% while your health is full. Keen Speed, on critical you gain 20% haste. Chain Arcane, your basic attacks trigger a chain reaction of arcane damage that bounces between nearby enemies, and then Keenly Jagged, on crit, causes bleed that deals 7% weapon damage for 6 seconds on a 7-second cooldown, so just 1 second between those. This isn't great, but if you wanted to choose it, a Corrupted Dungeon, I guess you could. You've got Chain Arcane, which would do extra damage to the corrupted enemies, and then Keenly Jagged isn't a bad perk, just doing more damage over time. Then we've got the Tentacular Firestaff. This is Constitution and Intelligence. It's got an empty gem slot. Got Chain Nature, so basic attacks trigger a chain reaction of nature damage that bounces between nearby targets. Worth noting, because of the Chain Nature perk, you couldn't put any other gem in there apart from the Amber, which is nature, although you could still put things like a diamond. Then you got Siphoning Blow, you gain 2.8% mana per hit on a 2-second cooldown. And then Efficient Burnout. Until your next hit, you deal 32% increased fire damage, and your mana regen rate increased by 20% for 8 seconds after using Burnout. Again, this isn't great, although you've got the extra damage from Chain Nature. If you wanted, you do have the mana regeneration from there, and then you do have a weapon perk, but overall it's not amazing. And you've got Fires of Retaliation. This is a fire staff with Constitution and Intelligence. It has a Retaliate gem in at the moment, but I'd change that out for something else. It's got Mortal Energy. When you kill something, you gain more stamina. Chain Arcane, so your basic attacks trigger a chain reaction with the arcane damage. Again, worth noting that that controls the element that you can put in the gem slot. And then Angry Earthbane, so 14% extra damage to Angry Earth. Again, this is another subpar piece. Because it's got the Angry Earthbane on, you'd want to see a couple of extra damage perks on there to make the most of going into mutators with it. The extra stamina is okay if you kill something, I guess, but you don't really want to see the Chain Arcane on a fire staff. Then we've got the Flesh Wrapped Hatchet, which has Focus and Strength, which is a terrible combination. We've got the Onyx Gem in there, which is 30% damage against targets with full health. I'd take that out and put something like a Opal in for the Gambit. More damage when you've not got full stamina. It's got a Refreshing Move, light and heavy attacks reduce your cooldowns. Mortal Siphoning, when you kill something gain mana. And then Empowering Rending Throw. Ranged hatchet attacks deal 29% more damage versus Rending Throw targets. This is another weapon where things are all over the place. The stats don't make sense. You've got a mana perk on a melee weapon. The best things about it is it's got a Refreshing Move, which is going to bring back your cooldowns. And then you've got the Empowering Rending Throw, which is a weapon perk, but is limited to ranged hatchet builds. The following items are all shared between enemies in the heal or village. So we've got the Bald Eagle Spear. This is a spear with focus and strength. Again, hate to see that stat combination. Got a Nature Gem in, converting half its damage to nature. Refreshing Ward, which is going to reduce your cooldowns after 4 hits. I hate that perk. Mortal Lifesteal, when you kill something, you gain 6.8% health on a 1 second cooldown. And then Keen Vault Kick. Vault Kick increases random crit chance by 35% for 5 seconds. If it wasn't for this stat distribution, I'd say this was an okay weapon because of the Mortal Lifesteal and the Keen Vault Kick being pretty good. But it's just not one that I'd use because I don't want 20 focus being fasting. You've got the Cold Stone Ice Gauntlet. This is an Ice Gauntlet with 30 Constitution. It's got an empty gem slot for you. It's got Mortal Lifesteal. When you kill something, gain 6.8% health on a 1 second cooldown. Sturdy, you take 9.6% less stamina damage while blocking. And then Lifestealing, gain 5% of your damage back as health. Doesn't trigger off persistent damage or dot effects. Overall, it's a pretty nice piece. You've got the 2 Lifestealing perks there. You do have Sturdy, and there are some tanks that use an Ice Gauntlet. And because it's got the 30 Constitution, that would go towards that as well. You probably wouldn't block with the Ice Gauntlet, but it could be used for your tanking build. And we've got the Avenging Head Cage, which is another piece of the Avenging set from earlier. It's a heavy headpiece with strength, empty gem slot, and the same perks as earlier. You've got your Refreshing, which reduces cooldowns, your Corrupted Ward, which increases your damage resistance, and then the 15 corruption resistance for portals and tempest, etc. Again, a pretty nice piece for a corrupted set. Then we've got the Fearless Spy Gloves, which is part of the Fearless Spy set. It's got medium gloves, Constitution and Dexterity. It's got an empty gem slot, Refreshing, Corrupted Ward, and Corrupted Resistance. Same as the other pieces with the same perks. This would fit into a max mead loadout for any Dex users. Then we've got the Shadow Work Gloves of the Archmage. This is part of the Archmage set. These are light gloves with Constitution and Focus. Again, they've got the same perks as last time, and these would fit into a max light loadout for you for any healer. Finally, as an honourable mention, the Weaponsmith Pants have moved to Articulon and can be gathered from either of the 2 locations. Final enemy is High Priest Osagira. To reach this, you need to go to the stairs opposite, break through the veil, and then you'll have a long run ahead of you. Once you reach this area, you need to beat the enemies and then run up the stairs, and High Priest Osagira is in the middle, and the second of the 2 Articulons is just to the left. So let's take a look at the items you can get from the High Priest. First, we've got the Curious Bewitched Staff. This is a life staff with Constitution. There's a fire gem in at the moment, converting 50% of its damage to fire. The Angry Earthbane, 14% extra damage to Angry Earth. Kingly Jagged, when you crit, you cause bleed for 7% of your weapon damage for 6 seconds. And then Render Protection, increase healing power by 41% for 3 seconds if Orb of Protection heals an ally with less than 50% health. Overall, this isn't going to be in the top life staffs because it doesn't have Blessed and there are better ones out there. But you could use it in an Angry Earth environment if you wanted to. You got the extra damage there, and you do have the weapon perk, which is going to make your healing more effective. Then we've got Decayed Spirit. This is a Void Gauntlet with Focus and Intelligence. A Gambit Gem, which is going to increase your damage while your stamina is not full. Keen, which is going to increase your critical chance. Refreshing Move, reducing your cooldowns on a hit. And Keen Speed, on critical, you gain 20% haste. Overall, it's a pretty nice piece. You've got Keen on there, and a lot of the abilities on the Void Gauntlet trigger off crit. You got Refreshing Move, which is going to bring your cooldowns back quicker, which means more Oblivions and keeping your Void Blade out constantly. Then you got Keen Speed, which is probably going to be more useful in PvP, but still not too bad overall. Next we've got the Gold Band of the High Herald. This is a ring with Focus and Dexterity. Again, not ideal stats at the moment because there's nothing that uses both of those. You got a Lightning Ward Gem, which increases your damage absorption. You got Keen Awareness, which increases critical chance. Refreshing, which is going to reduce your cooldowns. And then Leeching, 5% of your damage back as health. If they were to bring a weapon out that uses both Focus and Dex, this would be really nice. Keen Awareness is a best in slot perk. Refreshing is going to help you cooldowns a lot. And then if you're looking for a more sustainable build, that Leeching is also very good. But again, I wouldn't use it just yet because of that stat distribution. And finally, we got Mangled Heart, which is an amulet with Focus and Strength. It's got a Calming Gem in at the moment. You could take that out, especially since it's only level 3 and get a level 4 one in there. And then you've got Fortify Your Apply lasts 29% longer. You've got Divine, where you gain more health from all incoming healing effects. And then you've got Fortified Recovery. When you are hit below 50% health, you gain 10% Fortify for 5 seconds. Although the stat distribution doesn't look ideal, if you were playing some kind of Paladin, this could work out for you. If you had Fortify and Sacred Ground, that would last longer. You'd have more healing from that as well. And then if you were to get low, you'd gain that extra Fortify for a bit more survivability. So if that's your playstyle, this could be really good for you. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'm aiming to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Catch you next time.